Everybody wants new students in their martial arts school, and all of you are being inundated with everyone out there trying to tell you how to get new students into your martial arts school. I think there's a lot of great information out there, but we are doing a recruiting sprint. I did not want to have a 3-hour or 4-hour webinar for this. Summer is coming, and I know a lot of you have students that go on vacation, leave, people are traveling, and you may not be getting the enrollments that you want to be getting during the summer. That's why Thursday on June 11th from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we are doing a free recruitment sprint. Things that you can do to get new students in your door. Not only that, I also wanted to make sure that we give you SOPs, ad slicks. Anyone that attends this webinar live is going to get all of the tools that they need just to help you increase your chances of having record enrollments for this summer. Record enrollments for some of you might be going from 5 new students to 10. Some of you might be going from 10 to 20, 20 to 50. Whatever it is, we just want to help you improve enrollments going into the summer. It's absolutely free. Join us Thursday, June 11th, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Click the link below, and I hope to see you on there.
This is Real Talk, because not everything has to be about business.
Live, guys, hold on. You guys are muted. We're gonna unmute you. Hold on. All right, we're live. It's never easy. Unbelievable. Anyway,
what's up?
It's good to see you guys. And because of timing here, Jason has a staff meeting, right, Jason?
Yes, sir.
Okay, in at 1:30. But just as people are getting on here, we were just talking about how lucky we are to have Lebo, come out and work with me and Jason and another gentleman named Val, but on every Wednesday. And yes, blessed in the martial arts community. I mean, as martial artists, we're blessed if we can get somebody that's literally a master in their craft and recognized worldwide as one of the best in the world to come out every Wednesday and just work. And it's just, yeah, that's what the martial arts is all about. It's just awesome and it's great. So with that, Kling, I'm going to unmute you. Did you mute yourself? There you go.
Yeah, I want to make sure. I got a dog running around here, so I want to make sure we didn't hear my little. My dog looks like Arsaman's dog. I did a double take. I'm like, how does we got like doppelganger mutts? It looks like so. But yeah, what's up, Mets?
Nothing much. Busy. Things are great, and I just want to say this is something we're doing every month, everybody, with the elite consultants. But because of the elite consultants having other things going on, Chris is in an EOS meeting. Tassel's in Canada right now, and Jason has a staff meeting at 1:30. Parman has some vehicle issues he's tending to, but that's okay. I knew that it wouldn't be every month with all of us, but at least there's some of us. And now that I have audio, unlike last month where I can actually, talk and ask questions, I want to direct some things to Jason before he has to jump off, and I'm going to direct it to everybody. But I just want to dive in because I want to hear Jason Patino actually consult primarily our BJJ and MMA schools, because he runs a very successful BJJ school. And the thing is business, but sometimes different styles, or specifically BJJ or MMA, sometimes there's this stigma of, well, I don't know if the business works the same with BJJ and MMA. So Jason has proved that it doesn't. He works with them. But first, I would like to ask all of you, starting with you, Jason, what are you hearing or noticing this year as opposed to previous years? Are people doing better, working harder, struggling more? Like what are you seeing, or what are you hearing from the BJJ MMA community?
So from the people I've spoke to, man, it seems like the year started slow. Last year and the beginning of this year, the people I've talked to have been struggling a little bit to get quality leads. That's kind of been like a recurring theme with people I talk to is marketing is a struggle. People are paying more money and getting less quality leads or just less leads overall. And so then the revenue at the business is hurting because of it. And, our school included, we've had to kind of buckle down and tighten up on our systems, making sure our staff meetings are on point and that everybody understands the mission. And so luckily we are doing better than we were last year at this point in the year. But it hasn't been without the headaches and struggles. And of course, we lost our program director and chief instructor in the last 2 months. So we've been training all our new employees and things like that. But it seems like it started slow and things are maybe starting to pick up a little bit.
Okay. What are you guys seeing?
I'm seeing a lot of the same stuff Patino's seeing with people want to grow their school, but I think that there's a catch 22 in this. I think that us as martial arts, not just karate guys or taekwondo guys, but jujitsu. I think us as an industry, we're starting to rely, or we have been relying too much on, I know with AI, with all the automations, and that we are really reliant on just getting martial arts leads or new students through those automations and just through the stuff on our websites. And the people that I work with that say that, yeah, I don't have enough leads, typically they're just leaning on that. And they're not doing, to steal a BJJ or a MMA term, people have forgotten to start doing the ground and pound, to go out and do community events, go out and flyer things, go out. We lean so heavy on one thing, and when it stopped producing, we forgot about the other things. And I think a lot of those grassroots marketing things are the tools that we're not using in our tool belt. So yeah, the people who are struggling, they're not using that whole Batman tool belt. They're just using the one thing. So that's what I'm seeing on my end, and I'm guilty of that too. In our martial arts schools, and so that's we're trying to come back more to center.
I would agree. I would agree 100% with that. 100%. And I'm going to make a comment on that in a minute. Ars, what are you seeing with the clients in the industry?
Yeah, no, I agree with these guys here. I mean, I'm seeing the same thing, but I also think we're kind of comparing, post COVID years, those comeback years to now. And so there's a little bit of that where times were really good, coming out of COVID, and I think things are kind of settling a little bit. But also it's not everybody struggling. I see there's schools that they're having the record years, doing fantastic. And I think it kind of depends on where they are, what stage they are in their business. Some of the ones who have just, started their business in the past few years, some of them are having fantastic years, record breaking years, because they're still growing. The ones who have been more established, a little more mature and kind of not leveled off, but, leveled off, reached a plateau, they're going to see some dips and some rises year to year. And so, as a company-wide, we have 2 schools. We're having a record-breaking year. Although, when you look at our more mature school, they're having a more down year compared to the one who's only been open 3.5 years. But I guess to answer the question, it varies across the board, But yeah, generally speaking, I agree with everyone here with the leads and what Kurt said about you got to hit the pavement, business to business, setting up booths, getting involved, face-to-face marketing. Don't just rely on 1 or 2 ways to market.
So a couple comments real quick, and I'm going to tie this in with Jason to reinforce this point. But here's the thing, because I'm going to ask you another question in a second that I want to give anyone watching this a peek behind the curtain. I mean, let's be transparent. We have these talks, but we're going to have them in front of the audience because I like being transparent. But number one, yes, I think this industry likes to try to find any way, shape, or form that they can find something or a tool to do the business side work for them. Automations, follow up with leads, call centers, which I think is great. If it's working, but you got to track the data, right? On the marketing side, I think you need to do all the automations. I think you need to do all the marketing, but that does not replace the stuff that you were doing before. It's to supplement. And I think people look at it as a replacement. And this is why I think some schools struggle. The next point I want to make, and it's going to lead into my question. The hardest part, everybody watching this, if you guys want to grow your school, whoever's watching this right now, there are recipes and systems to do that. And if you follow the systems, you're going to grow. Now, Arsaman said some of the schools that have been here, they're taking a dip. His original school is down a little bit. It's because you can only generate so much revenue from one location. You're not going to have 5,000 students in your 2,400 square foot martial arts school. That's not the model. Like, you're going to hit a limit, and then you're going to have ups and downs, and you're going to kind of float, and you're going to and you'll still do great. But if you want to scale, you got to have systems to open up another location if you want to scale, or if you want to continue a growth path. Growth. You can't continue to grow year after year for 30 years with one location. The other thing that I'm going to say is, if you've had a school for 25 years and you have not been following certain recipes or systems for success, you can jump into a program and then all of a sudden, after 25 years, just skyrocket by implementing proven systems that work. Now, here's the question, Jay, starting with you, just because I know you're going to have to jump off in a little bit. And I want everybody to answer this. When we're talking in private, what is the biggest thing that frustrates the shit out of you about clients?
Oh, the excuses, the reasons that, because I'm gonna be honest, is I used to be that guy with you. Is they want to give every excuse or reason of why it won't work for them. They're like, well, no, people here won't commit to 12 months, or nobody would pay in full, or people don't want to upgrade. And it's like, I've heard it so many times. I used to say a lot of these, and what you told me is, well, all right, if you don't believe, then just try one thing. And you kind of would force me. I mean, for lack of a better word, I was looking to improve. And you said, Jason, just try this. And so we implemented the 12 months and eventually the 24 months. And now we're doing the 36 months like everybody else. And lo and behold, people pay for 36 months. People commit to 36 months without batting an eye. And that's happened time and time again. So as far as what the clients are telling us is that sometimes they seem to think that they know everything, they have all the answers, and it's like, well, then why isn't your school doing what you want it to do? These systems have proven to get to a certain level or to help you improve. So I mean, hands down, that's it.
Okay, so, and guys, I'll ask everybody, but because you said excuses and that frustrates you, but I'm assuming, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it frustrates you because you have enough experience now by consulting. And by the way, you've taken your school from, I don't know, 120,000 a year in revenue to almost $1 million a year in revenue, doing BJJ, Muay Thai, jujitsu and stuff. But it frustrates you because you know how much better they can be doing, I'm assuming, right? And that's
Definitely.
frustrating. Okay. But now I want to ask you, you just said yourself, you were that guy. So go back to that mindset. Why were you that guy? What was your mindset when you were making excuses, just like some of your clients might, where it's frustrating and we're not moving as fast as we can be because they're making the excuses?
What I've tried to pinpoint, because it's such a great question, Mike, what I've tried to identify is I think a lot of us, myself included, we have our own programming, like what we were raised believing in terms of finances. My family didn't have much growing up. We didn't have a lot of money. We certainly were never the family that was going to pay in full for a year for one kid, much less two kids, for martial arts classes or really anything for that matter. So I kind of came into this 20 years ago when I first, became an owner of a school, thinking that everybody, was struggling financially and nobody would want to commit to a year or pay for a year. And so I know for me as a competitor, MMA fighter, jujitsu competitor for years, I just thought I knew what people wanted or what people would commit to. And the reality was, you knew business and you knew what people were comfortable with and what would work in schools like mine. And because piece by piece, you kind of broke me down and I started implementing new systems and they worked. And now, I didn't have blind faith, but I did follow with some faith. And eventually I saw the proof was in the pudding, as you say, that I started following the recipe. Now I'm a believer. And so now I'm on the other side, and when I talk to people and they try to tell me why they think it won't work, I'm like, guys, you have no idea. You don't know what you don't know, because I was there. So I think it goes back to your programming, your upbringing, and what you think that other people are comfortable with or uncomfortable with. And the reality is, like you said, business is business, and it doesn't matter the discipline.
It's good, and that's a good, thought on why we get people, and it's fear. It breaks down to fear, right? So, Ars, let me throw it to you. What's your biggest frustration with trying to help school owners?
I mean, I guess mine would be, I kind of break it down to what everyone knows as far as being an instructor already with your students. And in order to be great, if you want to be a champion, if you want to be an amazing martial artist, an amazing black belt, you have to be willing to pay the price. Meaning there's a price to pay for everything. If you want to be successful, if you want to have $1 million business, you're going to have to pay a price for that. Meaning you're going to have to get out there and you're going to have to hustle, roll your sleeves back, put in the work, do the things that you don't necessarily want to do. Whether that's going business to business and marketing, whether that's going into the schools and getting out of your comfort zone, or it's applying some of the marketing tactics that maybe you don't want to do, or keeping statistics. I mean, all of these things do add up. But if you want to be the best, you got to be willing to pay the price. But on the flip side, there's a price to pay for being lazy and complacent. You know what I mean? And so if you say you want something, you have to be willing to put in the work to do it. And I guess so for me, I'm the kind of person who is willing to put in the work. And so when I come up against people who I feel maybe aren't 100% willing to put in the work, that maybe can frustrate me a little bit, but like Jason said, like, I know this works. I was that school who plateaued before joining MAIA. For years, we were stuck at 250 students, averaging around 40 grand a month, which is good. It's good. Don't get me wrong. But I had no idea how much better it could be. And to be honest, I was complacent. I was comfortable. I was living a pretty good life. I was happy. I was able to invest money, take vacations. But at a certain point, I looked around and I said, wait a minute. If I don't do something for my staff and my team, they're going to get to a certain point where they're going to leave, because they're going to have to leave. You can only make so much money and you can only support so many people off one location making this much money. So it just came to a point where I came to a fork in the road and said, I got to do this or I got to do that. And I decided I'm going to go for it. And that's just the personality I have. So belief system, just like Jason was talking about, like getting people to understand and think about business a certain way and really honing in on what they want and why they want it.
Great point. And I agree. People don't want to. Oh, we just lost Kling. People.
He hated my message. I guess he didn't like what I had to say.
Ars, you're echoing. You may want to refresh. There's an echo there. But my point is, by the way, I think Jason, especially in the BJJ and Muay Thai world, well, in the professional fighting world, and even in martial artists, in sport karate, I mean, we're martial artists and we're not necessarily business people, and we don't want to. Hold on, let's fix Arsaman here. There we go. We don't want to do the business part. We just want to do the martial arts part. There's not a right or wrong answer. But if somebody comes into Elite and they're paying money, don't come to Elite to pay us money to become a better martial artist. You're paying money to be an Elite to grow your business. And if you're paying money, you would think that you're gonna execute the plan. But it takes extreme discipline and it takes work. And my biggest frustration is knowing the industry and knowing the majority of people, and that we can't do it for them. And that's a frustration for me. I wish we could do it for them, But now, like as we see things through a different lens, and it's very frustrating when you see someone who's comfortable, who may be grossing 30,000 a year. They're so happy because they came to us at 5,000 a month. I'm sorry, 5,000 a month. Now they're grossing 30,000 a month, and then they start relaxing. And you're like, but I know your school is a 70,000 a month school, and you're like slowing down. You're just kind of coasting now because they're comfortable. And that would be my biggest frustration. So if there's a school owner watching this, Jace, you first, since you're going to be jumping off. If there's a school owner watching this, here's the deal, guys. Let's just call it. They're getting inundated with consultant groups, with companies that say, I can get you 400 new students a month or 40 new students a month or whatever it is. I can help you with this. We can grow your school. And everybody is like an expert. How do we know, or how would you tell them that we're different? Because every company is going to say they're different. Why do you think we're different?
Well, the great thing is we're the only company that's been around for 30 plus years. We have these proven systems and our track record speaks for itself. So, regardless of how many students people say that they can get in your doors, if you're not fixing or creating systems that are step by step following that lead to trial to new student to upgraded student and maximizing student revenue, your average student value for each student, um, you're going to struggle unless you have the formula. And I think that's what's really cool and unique about MAIA is that not only have we been around for 3 decades, but you can talk to any of the thousands really of school owners around the country and what we've done for their schools. So I think that's unique because any new person can jump up and be the new master or wizard or say that they can get you however many new students or revenue, but we're the only ones with that track record and it speaks for itself.
So now, real quick, again, in the industry as a whole, but especially again in the BJJ MMA, because they're a little behind in the business side, I think, as a whole still. But Jason, do you realize as soon as you say upgrade, you're losing a percentage of the audience as soon as you say that, right? What would you say to those people who say, like, I'm not nickel and diming my people, I mean upgrades? And by the way, you mentioned paid in fulls. So some people don't understand the difference between a paid in full and a cash out. And they think, oh, so they just try to get everybody's money up front and they just do upgrades. How would you say that in 2 minutes or less? How would you explain that?
Man, it's tough to kind of really sell it until you understand the full system, right? Because it can be taken out of context. Like you said, it's not a cash out. But the reality is the pricing structure that we use in Maya is designed to cater to really anyone, somebody who's struggling financially and just wants to kind of make the payments that they can work with, or somebody who has a little bit more money and they want to save a bigger percentage. So the pricing structure and offering a paid in full is designed to give more option to that potential new student. And then an upgrade, again, I love the analogy that I've heard you use is if you go and eat you eat out at a restaurant for dinner and they offer if you want dessert or an appetizer or coffee after your meal, are you getting upset or offended because they're asking if you want to upgrade or upsell or buy more? And the reality is, if you're offering more value, if you're offering something special or different that would improve that student experience, I think it's fair to charge something for that. And that's basically what the upgrade is we're offering something for the student to grow in and continue to train and improve and learn more than what is kind of like the basic or the fundamental or the core program that we offer. So I think, as you said, a lot of people come in as competitors, like myself, as a fighter, as a competitor, wrestling in high school and college and doing professional MMA. I came in and you have to have a certain level of self-belief and kind of think that you know certain things. And that's great. You're confident. But just like you need a coach in martial arts and in competitions, you need a coach in business, right? And that's how we can get to that black belt in business level is by listening to other people who have used this proven system and have helped other people grow. And that's basically what we're doing. So, if you've gotten to a certain point, well, that's the same as that green natural fighter who is athletic and fast and tough and you get to a certain point, but if you want to get to that elite level, literally to that highest level, you need high level coaching. And that's the cool thing about what we offer is we take people who are doing well and maybe got to complacent levels like what Josh was saying earlier, and we help them get to that next level.
Real quick, because you're jumping off in 3 minutes, and then I'm going to go to Arson Kling. But um, you just said at the beginning of this, you lost your key program director, right? Because of family, because children,
11
right?
years. Yep. Third
Yeah,
child. She couldn't
11
do it.
years, who was a critical point, and you just lost your head Muay Thai instructor, right?
Yep. Also taught all the kids' classes.
Now this goes to systems, and I'd like just everyone to know you also will be gone pretty much the entire month of July. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm gone all next week. Then the following week, I'm gone another week, and then I'm gone 3 weeks in July. We'll be in Japan. So yeah, but with new employees, that can be a headache for a lot of people. But we have systems in place. They're being trained properly. I'm putting in the time and the energy now to make sure that they're all prepared. And as a staff, we operate, as a unit. So the people who have still been around for years, they're all there, support people as resources. I make myself available, but without systems, everything breaks down if you lose key people.
Which, by the way, is why you have to go to your staff meeting now at 1:30 because you're
Because
taking a
we
month
leave
off
town.
and you
Yeah.
lost two key people. But the systems, part of the systems is bench strength and having a net, right? And by the way, most owners wouldn't be able to lose two key members and then leave for a month. So great job on just, it's never fun. It's never fun, but it's, you got to be prepared, right? So all right, man, we'll touch base. I know you got to go to your staff meeting, and then I'm going to stay on here with Kling and Mr. Arsamont. Bunk.
And he's gone. Just like that.
Well, hold on. All right, guys. So let me just ask the question here. We talk about the biggest frustrations, and we talked about how definitions are different. Jason, when I tell you guys, this is important to understand. If you mention and somebody has a question here, we're going to ask this question in a second. But when somebody, for example, says upgrade, there is a large portion of the industry that won't even listen to you anymore, because I think their definition of an upgrade is you're forcing people to pay you more money to learn your art, and that's not what we do. And I think I just really just want to say that out loud for the industry, that just because you call something an upgrade and we call something an upgrade, the analogy Jason gave is if you go to a steakhouse and they offer you dessert or coffee or an appetizer, nobody gets upset. But if they came and said, we can't give you the steak unless you order an appetizer, dessert, and coffee, well, then we would be upset. We probably wouldn't go back. And we offer upgrades by creating value that has nothing to do with the core product. The steak is going to be as great as anyone else's steak, whether they ordered $1,000 bottle of wine and you just ordered a water with lemon. Our steak is going to be the same. And that's what people need to understand. But if you offer value, that's how you increase the student value. So real quick, let's just ask each of you this question. What's the most important thing you've done that has helped you build a great team? Kling, you start.
Yeah, you bet. And first, that's the obvious point, that you always have to be looking. But two, you always have to be training as well. And the training, here's the problem I find with a lot of schools. When they say that, hey, they might go to a workshop or a seminar, and hey, we're all going to start staff training, and we're going to be training, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it's like the kitchen sink thrown at everybody, at your entire team, where it doesn't have to be all at once every single day. It's just got to be a little bit. It's that whole analogy, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Just work on one thing, but know why you're working on it. I mean, I'm looking at stats right now for my own schools on what is the show rate and what is the conversion rate, how many people are enrolling compared to how many people are showing to scheduled appointments compared to how many appointments were set. And each of my 3 locations, they have different things that need to be worked on. So it makes no sense for me to go to one of my locations and say, hey, look, we need to improve our show rate when the show rate is 85%. but the conversion rate is lower. You want to go in it with a scalpel. So how do you make sure you got that dynamite team? Well, always be looking, but to make sure you're training, but don't drown your employees in training all of a sudden, because what will happen is you'll do that for maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then you'll stop training altogether. Just have something posted, have a schedule. Okay, we're just going to work on phone call appointments. And okay, next week, we're just going to work on show rates. Next week, we're just going to work on this and just work on a little, but then whatever gets measured improves. So don't think that you just work on something. Okay, it's done. I'm guilty of that. Okay, we trained on it. We're good. No. You got to have some means of measuring that. So don't try to drown your employees in that. So
to simplify Mr. Klingenmeyer's point on this, one of the key ways to build a great team, and I'm gonna hear from Arsamont, and then I'll weigh in, is don't overwhelm them. Don't stress them out and overwhelm them with everything, basically, because that will create burnout. And that's one key element of building a great team. Ars, what's your key to what is the most important thing you've done that has helped you build a great team?
Well, sticking with the question, what is the most important thing that I've done to build a great team? It's to continually develop myself as a leader, to read books, to attend the seminars, to evaluate my own coaching style, and to really look at who I am as a person and how I deliver to my team and how I can inspire them. So I know it sounds cliche, it's kind of vague, but it really is. You can only build your team to a certain level. Like if let's say you're here, you can only develop your team here, and they're going to plateau. So what you have to do is you have to develop yourself to build them up to where you are. And so I could give a 3-hour seminar on what that means and how to do that. But I do think that it's important to develop yourself. But I know everyone's probably looking for a better answer, like an action they can take. So just going into it, like a simple action they can take to develop a great team, I think it's important to make it your number one priority to develop your team. Like, so across the board, like Jason's doing right now. He's got this important, webinar that we're on, but I've got to leave early because I've made a commitment to my team. So when I plan out my calendar for the year, that's the number one thing that I look at is what do I need to do to develop my team? Staff meetings, team training, team development, team bonding. This is really, really important to me because at the end of the day, you can teach all the skills, but if they don't have that bond and that buy-in, then there's really no connection. Just like we talk about retention with the students, we got to talk about retention with your team. So I hope that helps.
Well, by the way, they can take actionable steps. They could start today just investing in themselves. So let me talk about building a great team, because I've had team members, as you know, for 20, 25, 30 plus years that have been with this company. And I think I counted it. I think we have 16 people. I think I counted 16 people that have been with us for over 20 years.
That's awesome.
Which is a lot. And the thing is, we're constantly hiring. So I have a lot of people that have been 15 plus years, a lot, right? But I didn't start off with 45 employees. I started with one part-time employee when I started this thing back in the early 90s. And Mr. Peterman, and he's still here. But anyway, here's the thing. I'm going to give everybody a tip. First of all, understand that if you've been burned by an employee, number one, they were stealing from you. They were doing something stupid. They were rough on kids. They weren't showing up. They weren't dependable. And then you find someone else. And we always want to try to build from internal. But then you get somebody else and you give them a chance. And they burn you. Then you give someone else a chance and they burn you. I've seen this happen where people say, I'm done with employees. I'm just doing this myself. It's just ridiculous. You will never get to where you can get. You'll never get to where you can get as a company if you get that attitude, right? When you find the right people, that takes your business to levels that you've never even imagined. But you got to keep looking and keep pushing. Number two, we want to try to make our culture as enjoyable as possible. We have a job that needs to be done. We need to get work done, but we need to have fun and we need to enjoy it. I want people to be like, I got to go, it's Sunday night, I got to go to work Monday. And I don't know if everybody loves just coming to work Monday, but we know we're going to have fun. I mean, we're going to have fun because we have that culture. If you're not having fun, I don't believe the work gets done as well or as efficiently if it's just all business. So you got to make a culture that has fun. Next bullet point I'm going to say, I don't know and I don't understand the 40-hour work week. I don't understand it. Here we have a job to do. If we get the job done in 20 hours, we got the job done in 20 hours. If we need 60, we need 60. Now you can get into semantics. Well, about a pay time and a half, this, that, and the other. Listen to what I'm saying, and this is a key element. When there is a job to be done, we need to get the job done. Period. That's it. If it takes us time and a half, or you got to pay that, then we got to pay time and a half. But then it comes into you being a better manager on how do you get the job done more efficiently. However, with my people, a lot of times they'll say, hey, can I bail earlier? My babysitter, go home, go do it. Yeah, no problem. Right. And I'm not sitting there like this because maybe that's why I've kept people here 25 and 30 plus years, right? You have to enjoy the process as much as possible. However, notice I said enjoy the process as much as possible, because there are times, and my team knows, where it's stressful. It's a lot of work. It's grind, and we got to push, right? But we try to do it and make it as enjoyable as possible sometimes. But if you want success, it's not easy. So if you're watching this, listen, you've heard me say this a million times. If you want to grow your martial arts school, these guys, we know how to do it. And at the end of the day, if somebody ever joins our program and they're canceling, it's one of two reasons. We're not doing our job, or you're not doing your job. That's it. One of the two. Because if you come in here to want to scale and grow your business, it's just one of those two things. And by the way, we know how to do our job because it's, as Jason said, almost 30 years. I mean, we've been doing this, right? Not to mention, all of these guys are, the two on here, Mr. Klingenmeyer and Mr. Arsaman, are both multi-school owners. Well, they weren't multi-school owners before they were clients in Elite, right? And now they're multi-school owners. And there's a formula and there's a system. But as Arsaman just said, he's a doer. He takes action. He works. I mean, you ever see the guy's hiking trips? I mean, the man's doing stuff. I mean, he's just a doer. It's like, oh, honey, look, 750 people died on this mountain. Let's do it. This is what he does. He's a risk taker. He wants to do it. He gets it done and he does it. But that carries over and everything. Klingenmeyer, I'll give you an example of Klingenmeyer. He was a full-time school teacher. I said, what do we got to make in the business? This is when he was a client 15 plus years ago. What do we got to make in the school for you to feel comfortable to retire from the school system? And I think he said 20,000 a month. But when he came on, he was around 3,000 a month gross. Like, he was a part-time school owner. I said 20,000 a month. Well, we get to 20, and it was summer, and he says to the principal, I'm not coming back. I don't think. I want to take a year off and really focus on the martial arts school. But around that time, his wife got laid off, like right immediately or something. And he's like, I don't know what we're going to do. It's like, I need to get to 30 now to compensate. I said, let's hit 30. I think the next month he went to 30 and never looked back, never went back. Am I right on that memory?
That's spot on. There's some other fun stuff behind the scenes that happen, but when the principal told me that I was throwing my life away to go teach a karate school. And but yeah, we finally hit 20, and the next month we hit 30.
Right.
And it was just by tweaking a couple of things. It was just by adjusting just a couple of things, and we popped 30 grand the next month.
My point is these guys are sitting in these seats because they're action takers. And sometimes, guys, I just want to hear from you. Ars, you first. Do you think there's some people that join Elite thinking it's a magic bullet and they're going to just join Elite and all of a sudden their school's going to start growing?
Yes and no. I mean, I definitely think that they don't understand maybe all the work that needs to be put in order for it to be successful. Yeah. I don't think that anyone thinks it's just, hey, I'm going to sign up and then I'm going to be successful. I'll just listen to you. But I don't think that everybody is willing to put in all of the work. I just, so it's a lifestyle choice. And it breaks down to, I think they're comfortable. They're too comfortable. They're willing to do this, but not willing to do that. I think that is the key. And it doesn't mean you have to do everything, but there are some key things you have to do if you want to be successful. There's non-negotiables.
And by the way, what he just said, guys, would be the complete opposite thing if all we wanted to do was try to sell you on MAIA Elite. He just told you it's going to be a lot of work. And in the beginning, it is, until you get it into a system and it becomes like a machine on the business side, not a machine on your martial arts instructional side. Teach world champions if you want, but there's a lot of work. If we wanted to sell you on Elite, we would say, we got systems. It's easy. It's not freaking easy. We just know how to do it. We have the red carpet laid out for you, but you're the one who has to walk it. You got to go down it and you got to stay on the path, and your school and your business is going to grow. But more importantly, instead of talking selfishly, you're going to provide better opportunities for your current team members or your future team members that you don't even have yet, to give them a career in martial arts. But Kling, for you, what do you think? Do you think people, do you agree with Arsaman? Do you think people come in and think it's just going to be easier in the beginning than it is? Or what do you think?
I think that people confuse their martial arts style with martial arts business. I think people look at the way that they have their schedule set up or their pricing structure. I think they lump all that together with their martial arts style that they are. So if you're a jiu-jitsu or a karate guy, well, my schedule is set up like a karate schedule. And it should be it shouldn't mix, because the way that you run a business is not the same as your martial arts style. Your punches and kicks want to feed into your actual schedule. So meaning, like, when you and I started working together, I remember getting that phone call at Frat Elementary School. It was my lunch break. And I wasn't ready for the call, to be honest. I forgot that we were having our consulting call that day. And yeah, I know, big no-no. And I remember I picked up the phone. I'm like, oh, shoot. So, and we're talking about things. And you said to me, wait a minute. How do you have your schedule done? Are you using an ABC day schedule? Are you doing this the way that I'm recommending you do this? And I said no. And I think I'd been working with you for maybe about a year then. And you then said, well, what does your schedule look like? And then you answered the question for me. You said, wait a minute, let me guess. You're doing this. Your schedule looks exactly like how your instructor's does. And I said, well, yes, it does. And you said, well, why is that? I said, well, we're good in tournaments and this and that. And you said, well, how many schools does your instructor had? And I said, none. He closed 10 years ago. And you had told me, you said, wait a minute, you're basing your entire schedule on what your instructor's schedule was that closed back in the early 90s? And said, you know what? Now, for the younger people watching, that this was what we would call a telephone, where you pick up off the wall. You had said, well, call me back when you're serious. And I got, you hung up on me, Mets. And I tried calling you back and you didn't pick up. And that's where I apologized over a voicemail. I said, you know what, I'm ready. I'm ready to just start making that switch because everything you had told me was working. I was done fighting it. And so I think that and we haven't looked back since. And I think that was the extra kick that I needed in my tail because I really thought my schedule had something to do with my style, and it doesn't. It's about having the right business systems in place so that way your style and your school is successful. And so even though when I was a client, when I started in 2007, I did not know the difference yet, and that was the hiccup that I had. And
Two
and I see
things.
a lot of people doing the same thing.
Most people don't, but when you say ABC schedule, again, there's a different definition. Some people say, I do an ABC schedule. Not the way we do an ABC schedule. But the other thing is we're doing a great job selling Elite. It's a lot of work, and the consultants hang up on you. So, by the way, I'm not trying to sell Elite. What we do is we're totally transparent and honest. And the thing is yeah, we get frustrated because we take our job very seriously. We want to see you. Basically, when you join Elite, by the way, guys, you guys know we have UFC veterans that are in the Elite program. You know, from Matt Brown, Matt Arroyo, John Hackelman, they're all in the family,
Mm-hmm.
But in this world, they are our students. And if you're a martial arts instructor, I'm sure you get frustrated with certain students when they're just not pushing themselves and they're not performing the way that you know they can. And that's how serious we take this too. So, gents, I appreciate it. And everybody watching, I appreciate it. We're going to do this every month. Do you guys have any final thoughts or anything you want to say? I know we have a Massos next week at what do we have next week? The sprint recruitment sprint. We're doing a recruitment. Huh? A week from today. Oh, a week from today. I thought you said it's today. I was like, huh? All right. So a week from today, but we have the Martial Arts Super Show, virtual Super Show, guys. Make sure you register. We got we have a guest speaker, Jay McGowan, who wrote, you guys in the Elite have seen him. Jay McGowan, who wrote and sang Space Jam and Tootsie Roll and Come On Ride the Train. And that's how you know him. But his story is incredible about how he pushed and got in the studio when no one else was believing in him and his group, and how he doesn't believe in, we live in a box, right? And you got to step outside the box. He goes, why even have a box, right? So he's going to be speaking, but we have Dave Kovar, we have Melody Johnson, Chris Rappold, Roland Osborne, Tommy Lee. I'll say something about Tommy Lee. Out of all the speakers of all the decades, even when I was a school owner, I never bought any product, but I bought Tommy Lee's How to Overcome Objections Bible because he was so good at how to train and teach people how to overcome objections. But he's going to be speaking. We have the Elite crew. We have Kelly Murray, Ron Sell. I mean, we have a great lineup for everybody just to grow the school. So get your tickets for that. It's going to be Thursday, July 16th, Friday, July 17th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. It is not going to be like this. It's not like a Zoom or a Be Live. We have a professional studio with 3 cameras with a big screen behind us. I mean, it's going to be great. So make sure you get your tickets. Where do they get their tickets?
Supershow.themaiagroup.com.
No idea what that was just said. Super Show.
If they follow the link below.
Oh, what about learn more about MAIA Elite, themaiagroup.com? Will they find it there? All right, it'll be on there. Just click that link, everybody. But any final thoughts, guys?
Well, yeah, I'll just say this, guys. If anyone's watching and you've been watching for a while and you just feel like you're stuck, you're in a rut, give us a try, reach out. I mean, you guys can reach out to me. I'll be happy to jump on a call for free, just to talk to you guys and see where you're at and see if this is right for you. I can share my story in a little more detail, but I don't do this because this is my job and this is how I make money. I mean, I do make some money from doing this, but I do this because I'm passionate about it, just like I'm passionate about teaching martial arts. It changed my life. MAIA changed my business. It not only changed my business and my life, but my employees and my staff and my students. We're serving the community at a higher level. And if that resonates with anyone watching this, don't hesitate to reach out. It may be the best choice you've ever made.
Maybe Quang, anything?
At least jump on the webinar next week. These are great webinars. And Metzger, you said it's going to be a short, quick one, and you get all the resources for the summer. Get on the webinar. You guys will enjoy it. You're going to get a ton of info out of it.
Guys, we appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. If you guys need anything, reach out, and we'll see everybody soon. Thanks,
See you
guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.